Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 3 4. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 3 4. Right. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2 3 4. All right. Let's see.
Traveling?
Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. If you are here, I'm just trying to make sure all my technology is working. Go ahead and just say a hey in the chat. Say hello. Holla at your boy. Put something in the chat. Make sure my mic sounds nice. I see we got a few people that's on, which is amazing. We're going to get started here just ever so shortly. Today, we're going to have a little bit of a Google masterclass and hopefully set some folks up into a better position in terms of all things Google. So feel free to share this live and then just drop some in the chat if you can. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and hey y'all, what's going on? What's going on? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you guys for joining me. We're here for my lunch and learn. We're gonna be here for a good time, not a long time. As I also am gonna try to share this thing on TikTok as well. So we multi-streaming. We are multi-streaming to a little bit of everywhere. So let's see. Give me a few moments and then we'll get some more people in here. And then we're gonna get started. All right. And making sure I got a little bit of new technology. So I'm playing around with a couple things, y'all, just making sure everything works. So feel free to, again, like I said, throw those comments in there, share this live. But we on YouTube and we going to definitely get into it and show how we can level up as business owners, and especially for us that's in the cleaning industry. But I think this information I'm going to share today is going to be applicable to pretty much any business owner. But of course, I'm in the residential and commercial cleaning space. So I want to make sure I'm giving some game to my folks in the space to make sure we can level up, and especially level up when it's all things commercial. All right. So that's where we're going today, y'all. That's where we're going. And I appreciate everybody who's jumping in. But we on YouTube. We on YouTube Live, baby. And if y'all have any questions, what we're going to do is I'll try to see if there's any questions on any of the platforms, but feel free to ask them. I'll check them as I go, but we'll try to answer the questions as we end each section. So today I want to cover Google because I think it is a missed opportunity for a lot of businesses to be on their A game in terms of making sure that they are, I guess, not only presented through Google's platform, but then us also using Google on the back end to ensure that we're getting those leads to get these cleans on the residential and the commercial side. So that's what we're going to try to do, guys, today. We're just sharing a little bit about Google, and that's why I'm going to share my screen. And like I said, we're going to have a good time. So let me open up where I want to start today. So this is showing my actual TikTok, and hopefully it'll show through. But I was just at a commercial clean and checking up on my folks. And this is the power I want to show you guys, the power of Google, but show you kind of where I was at this weekend. Then we're going to backtrack to the tools of Google and how we. All right. So hopefully the sound will come through and y'all can hear it. But let me click on it. Well, I talked about it, and now I'm being about it. This server cleaning on campus is our permanent turnovers. I actually secured a nice five-figure contract for the summer where we're doing apartment cleans and turnovers for our local university. So again, I am here on site today just to kind of check things out and do a little cleaning myself, just to make sure everything is going good with the team. This is one of the one-bedroom apartments that are here. So I'm telling you guys, commercial is the way to go. And the one thing about commercial can also be residential. Aha. So leveling up your cleaning business, again, this literally is like a $60,000 contract for 2 months worth of work. Commercial game is where it needs to be. So again, just showing you my process. I'm actually here doing a little bit of cleaning myself, but we on to the next one. All right, y'all. All right, so that was a little bit about me this weekend where I was at one of our properties where we cleaned 116 apartments in 2 weeks. So apartment turnover cleans, university housing, we got this contract because of Google. So this is what I mean when I say commercial, where the money is at. We are actually cleaning the apartments on this campus because of us having a profile set on Google. So here are the actual apartments that we're cleaning. These are the 116 we just did at the end of May. And now we're in the process of doing the camp turnover clean. So 116 apartments to be deep clean. Now they have all the camps coming in for the summer. Then after all the camps come in, we go and clean them again so that the next camp can come in. Then at the end of the summer, as they transition to the school year, we will go back and clean all 116 apartments again for another deep clean to be ready for the students this fall. So the power of Google and the power of really making sure that the power of Google and the power of being able to utilize Google, like I said, is important to every business owner to make sure that we level up. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of context to show y'all where I was at, to show you where we're going. But we're talking all things Google. So y'all can feel free to stay where you're at or join us actually on YouTube, where we're going to break this thing down a little bit further. So commercial, where is that? Let me just introduce myself, obviously, because everybody, some may know me, some may not. My name is Coach Correy. I am a commercial cleaning business coach. I've been operating my business, Real Men Get It Done, for a little bit over 6 years. And because of that, I've had so many amazing opportunities to start in the residential side and then push my business even more so on the commercial side. So my goal is to help solo cleaners and small business owners who are on the residential side to level up and really be thinking about commercial, because commercial allows you to have so much job security. And when you're getting those bigger contracts, as I mentioned, this was a 5-figure contract for like 2.5, 3 months of work. It really is only 2 months of work because how the weeks kind of spread themselves out and you may not be doing anything. Like we're doing nothing this week, just kind of waiting. Camps are there. Camps will be there for a couple of weeks. Then we'll go back. So it really is like 2.5 months of work. And this is a 60 plus $1,000 contract. And they just called us yesterday and they were like, can you guys do any carpet cleaning and strip and waxing? Yes, we can. We definitely can. And she's like, well, we were looking at maybe 100 rooms to do for strip and wax. And then I'm still counting rooms for carpet. So that's going to boost that contract up even further of just 3 months of work this summer. Commercial is where it's at. But they would have never been able to find me if I wasn't on Google. They would have never knew who I was and I existed. And that's why it's so important for us as business owners to be thinking and looking at the power of Google and how we can help our business level up. So we're going to talk about a couple of free 99 ideas of Google because, of course, we don't want to pay money if we don't have to. And then we're going to talk about a couple of low level things that we can do that are going to cost us some money, but they still can be beneficial. I like to use the expression, you're going to pay one or two ways. You're going to pay in time or you're going to pay in money. So if you are getting something for free, you may have to spend a little bit more time. If you're getting something for the money, expedite your time to be able to make it happen. All right. So let's jump into it, y'all. As we're going to talk today about Google and really hit about the 3 pillars of Google that I like to discuss. And at the end, definitely going to open it up for any questions that you may have. I'll take my time with it a little bit. We won't be here too long, no more than an hour. So maybe spend about 30 minutes talking about Google, another 30, 35 minutes talking about Google, then open it up for any questions you guys may have. And then maybe for next week, I don't know, I may dig into next time to go deeper into Google ads because that was one thing, and we'll get to that in a second, that I used to be against, but now I am a strong component or proponent of Google ads and how we can use it to level up our businesses, y'all. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with the first pillar of Google My Business. So I wish that in terms of Google, they would have one platform that you log in and you could access all of Google's tools. But of course, that would be too easy. That would be easier said than done. And Google just does not work that way. So every platform that I'm going to mention has its own kind of login and interface, but it's okay. You do it, you log in to that with the same credentials, but then you have to access it to get to where you need to get. So this is the first one, your Google Business My Profile. You usually be called Google My Business, but this is your gateway. Every business owner should have a profile set on Google because Google is the #1 search engine in the globe, followed by YouTube because Google owns YouTube. So because these are two of the powerful kind of biggest search engines on the planet, why would you as a business owner not have yourself set up on Google? It makes no sense. And I think sometimes that is us getting out of that mindset of thinking small and saying like, why would I want to have my business on, have people know who I am and make my business grow. It's that small mindset. But no, every business owner should be on Google. And to also let you know, even if you're starting out on Google and you are just a sole proprietor, so that means you just have a small business, you're kind of operating a little bit maybe as a side hustle, Google still allows sole proprietors to have a Google My Business profile. So every business owner should be on Google My Business. So this is Google My Business on the front end, but let me show you what Google My Business looks like on the back end when I actually break down and look at my business. All right. So here's the back end of Google My Business. This is the front facing. This is the marketing piece of people being able to see that my business exists in my metropolitan area and is free advertisement for my business. Google My Business. So the dope thing about it is even when I was first starting out and I was a smaller cleaner, I only had a Facebook page, didn't have a website, anything of that nature. I just was hustling and bustling, had a Facebook page. I still was very big on getting my reviews, even on my Facebook business page. And because of that, once I was able to level up and actually have a Google My Business profile, because I didn't know that it existed at that time, they actually transitioned all of my reviews from Facebook, as you can see right here, 5-star when I was on Facebook, 5 for 5. They transferred that information and pulled it on over to Google. So see the power of Google and how and what it can do for us as business owners. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're following me thus far. If I'm making a little bit of sense, if I'm cooking a little bit, y'all go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat thus far. Making sure my mic sounds nice, making sure you guys are tracking me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're following along thus far. Drop that 1 in the chat. So here is the power of Google My Business and us making sure that we get that thing set up properly for our business. All right. Here are some of the behind the scenes pieces which I love about Google that allows you to also push yourself out. So we know as business owners, the most important thing that we should be getting is social proof about how our businesses are operating and kind of shaking and moving in our general areas. So of course, getting reviews. I told you all about my Facebook reviews and them kind of transitioning over, or at least having a spot on Google. But the regular reviews that I have as well are so very important. And even in my metropolitan area, we just got our 80th review today. Even being in business like a little over 6 years, it may not sound like that's a lot, but for my small metropolitan area in Shreveport, Louisiana, that is huge. It is huge to have that many reviews from my area because there are some businesses that have been in like in operation double the length that we've been alive, and they have not had a chance to get that many reviews. So that's important. That's the first thing. We're going to talk about making sure that we get reviews and making sure that our profile on Google My Business is completely filled out. So it allows you to edit your profile, put your reviews, your photos, just filling out a full profile so you have free traction to your actual website, to your actual company. That's the importance and that's the power of Google My Business. All right. All right, let's keep it moving, y'all, because we're going to cover 3 pillars. And then, like I said, we're going to open up for questions, but I'm going to leave some time to maybe dive a little bit deeper into Google Ads. So we're going to get through all 3, and I'm going to circle back to Google Ads to show you the power of Google Ads and utilizing them in your business. All right. So that's Google My Business. Now let's move forward to Google Ads, and I'm going to circle back to them, but Google Ads has its own interface. So Google Ads. You're clicking in there and you do your whole profile, and now you have your Google Ads set up. The reason why I initially used to tell people to kind of like be cautious when it comes to Google Ads, and this is why I'm going to circle back at the end, so stay tuned, is because Google Ads can be very misleading if you aren't familiar with how a platform can be crazy robust and have just all these functionality and features. When you're not understanding that, what you can see right here at the very top of the page, Google will throw a ton of money at you, earn up to $2,400 in ad credit. They usually will give you like a $300 bonus, a $500 bonus. Google will purposely give you all of this extra money to throw at your business. But if you don't have the right settings set up for your business, you could really be missing out and losing money, because what Google will do, they will send your information to everybody under the sun. You could have people, if I'm in Louisiana right now, they'll have people looking at your ad in Texas, in California, in Canada. If you don't put the guardrails on, everybody under the sun will look at your ad. And when they click on it, you're going to be spending money. And when you're spending money, that is money that you're losing, because as a cleaner, I want people just in my area. So that can be the kind of messed up thing about Google Ads. If you aren't familiar with it or understanding everything they're asking you to complete, you can just fill it out thinking that you're good, and then you miss the mark and are just throwing money down the drain. But you've thought, oh, I've put a couple $100s in, Google has matched it, I'm about to be up, my business is about to be blowing up. But it won't necessarily happen that way. So this is the second platform of Google Ads. I'm going to show you mine, but remember, we're going to circle back at the very end. I'm going to answer any questions, but then we may play a little bit around in Google Ads. And if we run out of time, we're going to move it into next week when we have our lunch and learn. All right. So Google My Business. Google Ads. Here is a version of, let's see, I have it clicked on Google Ads. Yes, let me click. I'm going to click one more profile. So if I click on the behind the scenes of Google Ads, here's what it looks like. Click rate, it'll show the different ads I have up. For me, I currently only have Google Ads running right now for my commercial side of my cleaning business. So it's going to show the full breakdown of everything. But see, this doesn't look too bad. This is showing a quick snapshot and it looks kind of pretty. It looks like it makes sense. But let me show you what it looks like when you start clicking into the actual Google profile and see when you mess around with your campaigns. So this is the back end of Google. Yes, I see what you're saying, Brad. Yep, we can definitely talk about that pricing for sure. And this is Lunch and Learn. Like I said, I want to make sure I have a topic every time I come to y'all, but we will open it up for questions and we'll get into that nitty gritty for sure. So this is the back end of Google Ads. Let's focus back to Google. This is the back end of Google Ads, y'all. Now, look at all these different options and things that you have. If you start clicking on the wrong things, from sales to leads to web traffic, and don't have your settings set up right, this is where I mean where you could really be throwing money down the drain. And it's not being a good look for your business and for your wallet because the money's gone. So we're going to circle back at the end, but I wanted to show you guys. For me, I have mine set up to only max out at $100 for the month, specifically for my commercial side. So I'm going to show y'all some tips and tricks at the very end, but this is Google Ads. So we've crushed the first two pillars of Google My Business, Google Ads. Now let's roll over to the third pillar of Google, which is Google Local Services. So here's the interface for Google Local Services. Like I said, I wish they had one interface. You log in, everything was there, but nope, that's just not how Google operates. So you have one of Google My Business as a login, a second one of Google Ads as a login, and the third of Google Local Services, that's a sign in. But the beauty of Google Local Services is it is specifically meant to target your specific geographical area. And since it's really kind of a bare bones type of platform with Google Local Services, it's almost foolproof. So all the bells and whistles that Google Ads has, it takes them away and makes it very streamlined so anybody can be able to get a booking or a lead. And if you aren't familiar, a lead is just you getting that person to call you to get business. So I'm looking for a cleaning service. I look up Google cleaner near me. It pops up my company, Real Men Get It Done Cleaning Services. I click on that person and I say, I need a quote for a clean. That's a lead, and it's a paid lead. So while Google My Business, setting up your profile, is free, as I just shared, Google Ads costs a little bit of money. And then in terms of Google Local Services can cost you a little bit of money, but you can dictate how that money is being spent. All right. So let me show you what the behind scenes of Google Local Services looks like. And then I'm going to show you the differences of how you can really maximize all the platforms. And then we definitely are going to open it up for some questions and answer anything my folks may have. So let me sign in. So when I show you the back end of Google Local Services for your business, these are a lot of the leads that have come in for me. And then let me show you my profile and a little bit of my budget. So I have my budget set kind of high, but you can always dictate and move this up and down. But for Google Local Services, this is the back end. It's your business hours. You can set your service areas, your zip code, your for us in Louisiana, it's parishes. So you can set that. You can exclude areas, which is pretty cool. And then this is where I always tell new people where you should be. If your money is a little bit of funny, you don't want to have every option clicked on where you'll get leads, because you still could be potentially wasting money. What you want to do is you want to specify and say, money, the kind of jobs are going to get me the most money turned on. For me, that's the office clean, because that falls on the commercial, moving, and then the deep clean. So those are the three settings that I have turned on. And because I have those three turned on, it guarantees that I'm going to be able to get traffic from those different types of cleans. So that's the back end of Google Local Services. And it helps me maximize to make sure I'm going to get the people looking for those jobs. And I just showed y'all those different leads that came in, but these are like all of my leads in the past couple of months, because I've really been rocking in terms of Google Local Services to make sure I maximize. So these are all different calls that have come in, and we've won some of them we haven't, but we've won a lot of them. So those are all the three platforms. But now let's dig a little bit into the weeds to show you a little bit of the power of Google and using Google Ads and Google Local Services. So if I was to come up into Google, just like I just told you guys, and chose cleaner near me, two things are going to come into play. Either it's going to be Google Ads or potentially Google Local Services, both platforms I just showed you guys. All right. So this is an example of what Google Ads, actually Google Local Services could look like. When I typed in cleaner near me, luckily I came up right at the top. And so that's good. But then when you look down to the businesses, this is all the Google Ads and me paying for some of those ads to run, working in its advantage. I popped up in the top 3 in my area right here. That's the power of what Google can do for your business, which is dope. Now let's change that verbiage a little bit and just say not cleaner near me, but let's say commercial cleaner near me, which I already did these right before I jumped on live today and I searched them. Now I'm popping up for as number one. But then when I look in the sponsored results as it's going down, these are all sponsored results in businesses. I'm still ranked in the second. So this is a combination of paying for those ads and a combination of making sure I got my reviews as well. But this is the power of how companies can find you, especially when they may be looking for residential or commercial. Because I told you all, my Google ads is just set for my commercial. I don't have anything of my keywords or anything set to the residential side. It's all commercial. And so that is the power of being able to show you in my whole geographical area kind of where I'm being placed because of utilizing the power of Google for my platform and for my business. All right. All right. So we went through all three. Any quick questions? I'm going to show one last thing for Google and I'm opening up for questions. But any questions thus far on Google, anything on Google My Business, Google Local Services, and Google Ads before I show y'all one last thing. And then we're going to open it up for questions because I know people are itching and I want to be able to make sure that we can answer any questions that we have. All right. All right. And go ahead and drop them in the chat if you have them. I'm going to show you guys the one last cheat code, which makes me circle back to the importance of utilizing Google Local Services and also using Google Ads to grow your business like I've been doing the past couple of years. So again, some of this that I've created or stumbled upon was me just figuring it out. I had to figure it out, so I'm showing you so you don't have to just figure it out. You'll know what to do to set you up for success. But I cannot negate the power of AI coming into the forefront to really help us power our businesses through Google the right way. So one of the reasons why I have really been able to even level up on my Google Local Services ads and also my Google ads has been through the power of AI. And so since we're right in this platform already, I would say it makes sense to go ahead and use Google's Gemini, and that's their version of AI. The reason why I jumped back into Google Ads as of late was because when I initially did Google Ads, I didn't understand it. So when I looked back into it and started to understand it more, I was like, okay, it's starting to make a little bit more sense, but let me use AI to make sure it makes sense and to make sure I don't tweak any of those parameters and things incorrectly. So this is what I did. I simply went inside of Google, and this is what I told Google to do. And I'm showing you guys because I already kind of just set it up. This is what I exactly put into Google to give me a full blueprint to make sure I didn't mess up Google Ads. Because remember, I told you the thing about Google Ads is they will throw a lot of money at you to use Google Ads, but if you don't set your settings correctly, you could be showing an ad to somebody in Cali, in Texas, and you're in a smaller area, and you're like, I just want the people in my 20-mile areas. So what I did for Google Gemini, I said, create a Google ad budget of $100 a month for my commercial cleaning business. And then it started to ask me several different other questions. And so it says right here, because a $100 monthly budget breaks down to about a $3.33 per day click, I'm being highly selective. So my clicks are going to cost between $2 and $5. Some of that I didn't really understand, but I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I just want to keep that budget at $100. And then Google, what it did was create an entire campaign for me for my commercial business. It gave me the exact keywords to use. Remember, I said, if you don't use some of the exact keywords for your area, your metropolitan area, you could be having your ad being clicked anywhere. It gave me some specifics: commercial cleaning Shreveport, janitorial services Bossier City, office cleaning services near me. And then the next thing I asked it to do, I said, Google, give me the step-by-step process of inputting the information inside of Google Ads so I don't make a mistake. And it started to spit all of that out. It gave me the full snapshot, y'all, of what to do and how to do it the right way, of showing everything that I needed to have for Google Ads to make sure I didn't go over my $100 budget. All right. So that's the power. And here it is right here, my step-by-step process. It gave me step 1, step 2, what not to click on, and step 3 to go back and look at different things. So it took me through the whole process, y'all. That's the power of Google and utilizing Google Gemini at the same time. All right. So that's the cheat code that I want to show you guys. Maybe next week, as we do a lunch and learn, and as we continue these, I can dive into there and dive into other people's profiles to maybe help them tweak and set theirs up. But I wanted to show you all that. That was my kind of last piece of information to show you the power of using Google Gemini to make sure there's Google ads, and you can do the exact same thing for Google local services too, to tweak those settings to make sure you have the right settings. Once I tweak them for both, my Google ads for commercial, because remember I put it just for commercial, shot up, and then my Google local services shot up as well. In the past couple of months, we've been averaging like $400 to $500 of paid leads on that site on Google. We've been averaging about $30 to $40 from the commercial side for Google ads. Been averaging about $500 a month for Google local services. Now that's what I'm paying out of pocket for those leads, so don't let that scare you. But with that, paying about $500 a month, that's about $20 per lead from my area. We've gotten it's blown out the water of how many cleans we've gotten. So it definitely is paying for itself, at least about triple of that amount. We've gotten so many cleans over the past couple months by tweaking both of those settings for Google ads and Google local services. So recapping and just bringing us full circle, y'all. If I wouldn't have been able to use the power of Google, going back to my commercial clean and them even finding us, y'all, this university that we are cleaning at is about an hour and a half away in a whole different parish in Louisiana. But they found us through the power of Google and searching for cleaners near me, commercial cleaners near me, and seeing who was some of the best folks that were in the area. Now, it only got us into the door. We still had to do some work in terms of the proposal and all that good stuff, but Google definitely gives us as business owners the access to be able to shake and move in this industry. And for me, commercial space, and that's what it is that I want to do. So I want to make sure that for our first lunch and learn, I had to start with some of the basics of us as commercial and residential cleaner owners leveling up with the power of Google and making sure we use Google's big 3 the right way. All right. So with that being said, any questions with Google, drop them in the chat. And it's a little bit different on YouTube because people just can't come off mic. I wish that was a feature. Who knows? In the future, they may have something where we can invite people on stage, similar to how TikTok is, to invite you on stage to let you verbally express it. But y'all go ahead, drop your questions that you may have in the chat. I do want to open it up now for anything else that y'all may have regarding Google or even for just business in general as us being cleaners. And let's just chop it up for a little bit of time that we still have with each other. So I know Brad asked the question, and so I'm going to answer his, and then anybody else that drops anything in the chat, for sure, I'm going to make sure I answer your question as well. So this is what Brad said, and let me see if it'll let me see if I can see your comment, Brad, because I want everybody to be able to see it. Because I'm using all my technology, and let's see. Brad had a great comment. Y'all be patient with me, and thank you, because this is my first live. Just using all the technology all together. Okay, let's see. Okay, bam. So there is Brad's question. He said, I know you're doing Google stuff today, but if there are no other questions, could you get into pricing and how to go about doing that? Mainly apartment complex type quotes. All right. So you're getting right into the commercial, my boy. And for these apartments that we actually have here on the university, that's exactly what it is. So I guess the biggest thing to kind of answer, because I can answer about apartments for residential, but it's look like you're asking about the commercial side. Any more information you can give me in terms of apartment complexes? Is just apartments that you are trying to go and get management to have you clean them to do move outs? Are you talking about specifically someone else that owns that apartment and looking for cleaners for like just moving out? Give me a little bit more information if you can. If not, I'll just run with it. But I'll give you a few moments. What other information can you add to that? Because I've done apartment complexes for like a university. I've also done apartment complexes for like our base. We have a Air Force base here in town, so I could look at it maybe through two different lenses. And Brad, if you're still here, definitely jump that in. I will go back to answer your question. But another question came in asking, with residential cleaning, you don't use Google Ads, correct? Only Google local services for residential. Actually, no, it's a cheat code. You could use the power of both to maximize your cleanings. Now, for Google local services, you got to keep in mind this is going to be more like specific leads. I showed y'all the back end of that. It's going to be specific leads that you get. They're going to come to your inbox directly. Google Ads, that can they can broadcast that in several different places through Google, any of their partners like YouTube and things of that nature. But you still could tweak it and have Google AI Gemini let you run ads specifically for residential as well, so that you could have the best of both worlds. It's just a different kind of platform where people are looking, but when people search, who knows, it could pop up either way. So some of your stuff could pop up on the Google interface. It could pop up in YouTube. But I like to think of it like when I'm thinking of Google local services, I think of them as like that's going to be the direct people for sure coming directly to my house. Like when I get mail, it's coming directly to my house. But if I'm watching TV or if I'm watching, streaming services, I'm watching YouTube or if I'm watching ESPN and then that traffic comes on the screen, for me to know about different businesses, that's kind of how I look at Google Ads, that it is completely just getting you in front of people and getting you more exposure, but then Google local services is going to come directly to your house. So that's how I look and keep kind of the both of them differently, just kind of in my head. But no, you could do residential and you don't have to do it for a whole bunch of money. You could say, I want to do my Google local services and set your budget for that. It may be $100, $200 for Google local services. And you could say, I only want to spend no more than $50 or less for my Google ads, just to kind of continue to get more business and get more exposure. So yeah, you can still do both. That's no problem at all. Ah, okay. So here we go. There's some more context. Yeah, so with apartment managers and dealing with commercial on that side, and like I told y'all, commercial can be residential, residential can be commercial. What I like to do is first and foremost, um, of course you want to ask what their budget is. That's a no brainer. But we have to look at commercial residential a little bit differently than maybe our regular residential. Because for me, if I'm going to just price an apartment, let's do it. We're going to do it in real time since we got a little bit of time. Let's go ahead and do it in real time. So let me go to my, and I don't know if I want to do, I may want to do the back end. So yeah, just like you're saying, like my website, if someone was to book a, let's say you said a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom. So we're doing this in real time, helping with pricing and looking at the difference between the residential side and looking at the difference from the commercial side. If they had a 2 and you see my square foot, you said yours anywhere from 900 to 1500. So let's keep it at the low end with no upgrades. And let's say it's a deep clean. My pricing in my area is 285. That is what I would charge somebody for a deep clean for a clean, or if it's a moving out one, which really that's what you're doing for a lot of the apartments. Let's see what it is. I think mine drops a little bit, 260. My rationale for that is that when a home is completely vacant and empty, sometimes it is a little bit easier to clean. Some people would say it'd be harder to clean, but I think it's harder when you have knickknacks and things all around the house because the dusting and things of that nature and things are obstacles to you. So that's why my moving out is slightly cheaper than my deep clean. But let me go ahead and go back to what you asked. So this is a snapshot of what mine will cost, 260. Now, would I ever charge that potentially for a apartment complex when it's bulk? No. You have to go about your pricing very differently because you are doing bulk pricing, and what I've learned over the years is that when you're doing on the commercial side, you got to look at it solely separate with your cleaners and everything. So this is how I would approach it. I already know I would use this as my base. I know that my own apartments, if I'm going to clean them, one apartment, it could be at maybe 260. Because I know what entails of a 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom, I would say on average, if you were to do your research, one person is supposed to be able to clean like a regular commercial space about 2,000 square feet in an hour. But when it comes to a moving out clean, I would just double that and say, okay, it may take a person 2 hours to do an apartment of that size. So because of that, I'm almost working backwards to see what is going to be my cost and I'm going to build from that. What do I want to pay my cleaners an hour? 25 an hour. So I just gave you that guesstimate of, okay, it may take someone 2 hours to clean an apartment. What do I want to pay them? Maybe $25 to $35 an hour. So I could easily say at the very low end, I'm paying $35 an hour for 2 hours. That's really only $60 for that cleaner. And I know it sounds low, but listen to where I'm going. Then I want to see, okay, I want to make sure I'm adding things like my insurance, adding the supplies that I may have to help, because when you do bulk, sometimes you do want to help the contractors with some of the supplies. And even if you don't help them with all the supplies, it's good to still build that into your budget. So I may add another 30% onto that $60, or like just say another $30 onto that to say we're right at about $90 for the clean. That's on the low end, $9 per apartment. That's on the very low end. Then I may want to use that to compare with what I would normally charge, a 260, and say, okay, if I could get away with maybe charging $100 on the commercial side versus 260 on the regular side, I may want to have a happy medium and just split right down the middle. So I'm looking at 100 on one end, 260 on the other end. And what is a happy medium ground for that? You know, it could be like a 125, a 150. And that is kind of like a very quick way of how I rationale in my head of where I could charge for a moving out apartment. Now that might sound low, and it could, depending on what type of apartment it is. But then from there, that's when I also do my homework in my own particular area. And then I'll do my own research with other cleaning companies to see what others may charge. Then at the very end, I am running it through AI. So I say that to say for like university apartments, they're going to be a little bit smaller than your average apartment where an adults are living in. So if they have apartments and they range all those different ranges, you may have to boost up your pricing a little bit more to make sure that if they want it as a flat price, that every apartment is just going to be charged this no matter what. Like that's just how you got to do it. And it's okay. It's okay. Like I'm going to just charge you this no matter what. Doesn't matter if it's a 2 bedroom or 4 bedroom. But then there's been other instances where I've had to kind of tweak that pricing to make sure I win the contract. So it can be all over the place, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Square footage for commercial, no. You asked about the square footage, and so for me particularly, you can play around with it, but no, I want to price it on the hourly side because square footage is going to be way too expensive. Like for a deep clean, and I got both of my devices on, so I can't do the math. I'm trying to think, what would like 35 cents be? 35 cents could be 35 cents to 40 cents for 1,000 square feet. Because you say yours could range from 900. What is that? You're gonna make me have to do some math already. Give me 1 second. Let's see. And we definitely can chop it up some more on the back end too. I'm sorry, it's spinning. It's okay though. Let me chop it up and put it in. So let's see, 35 cents times 1,000. 350. So yeah, for apartments, that I think that would be too expensive, and that's why we got to look at the commercial side a little bit differently. Because if you go straight square footage, because typically when I would do my residential cleans, I could do square footage, and I have done square footage. You see how it starts to price you out. 35 to 40 cents is for moving out or a deep clean. I'm already at 350. That's even way more expensive than this one is right here. But it does depend on your metro area too. So I ain't gonna hold you too. If you're like in New York City or dang near California, it may be justified to do that. But the biggest thing is, like I said, for commercial, the biggest thing I've learned different from residential is you do have to think about it as an hourly rate. Now, when you're doing your contract, the people don't need to know that when you send in your numbers, but on the back end, when you're crunching your numbers, it can be as you're doing it on the hourly. So that is one. Y'all go ahead and throw any more questions in here, or me and Brad go keep talking, which is no problem. With that we got about let's see, about 13 more minutes. So I'm interested to answer any other questions. I can show you. So I've done a lot of apartments too, and I just forgot. Duh, I just showed you that was some of my method for doing apartment cleans from a university and how we got our pricing. Our max on the apartment cleans at the university, and this could be up to 4 bedrooms, but again, it's college students, is 175. But it's bulk. I told you 116. And we already knew we were going to be potentially doing stripping and waxing and then also carpeting. Even though we didn't have the contract signed, we knew that that was something that they wanted. So that sweetens the deal where, having more, we can do bulk. And all my cleaners are getting paid like $100 per clean. And they're fine with that because we broke it down hourly. Now, I do have the housing authority apartments that I clean too. So we won the contract to do our housing authority apartments. I mean, 4 bedrooms all the way down to 1 bedrooms. And that pricing is definitely a little bit differently. So I won't go over that right now, Brad, but if you want to holler at me in the back channel, I'll continue some direct pricing that I have for the housing authority as well. And that pricing, we were able to go up more. But we also have carpeting and strip and waxing with them as well. But that's pretty much a city contract, and they have a little bit more money to spend than the university. But yeah, commercial is where it's at, y'all. What other questions y'all got? We got a little bit of time. What other questions? And thank y'all so much for joining for the first Lunch and Learn. It's gonna get better. It's gonna be better in my production. This is one of the first ones, so hopefully it's decent. But all of my technology is at least working, which is great. That's a beautiful thing. So we ain't gonna be salty too much at it. But what other questions do my cleaners have that's in the building? And since we're on the commercial side, have y'all thought about it? For those who are doing residential and you're getting a little bit of traction, have you guys reached out to the apartments in your area that could be doing turnovers? Now, this, I'm specifically speaking about a university that we do apartment turnovers for, and this is our second year winning that contract. And it just makes sense if you have a university near you because they are going to need help and support. But you could also be looking at just regular apartment complexes because summer is a big turnover time. A lot of people, their leases are start to run up because they may have started that lease, a year ago, and then now school is over and they're looking for a new spot and this and that. So apartment complexes as a whole, just as Brad mentioned, they are going to be looking for folks to do those turnover type cleans. And it's important to get your foot in the door as the main person cleaning them and running the contract. Or you may have to get your foot in the door to help and support somebody else who's already got the contract. But it will give you a lot of experience to understand what you need to do so you can win the contract the next go round. So yes, I'm definitely all about commercial. I love it. I love it. I love it. And yeah, I can answer any other questions folks may have. And in my community, my cleaning community, I'm going to ask different information as well to ask them what they may want us to discuss. I have tons of topics, of course, that I can cover, things that are going to be regarding commercial and just the cleaning industry as well. But I'll continue to ask folks what kind of questions they may have and keep this party train rocking and rolling. But anything else, y'all? Anything else you got? Anything else we got? Anything else we got? Before I let y'all go on this wonderful, wonderful Thursday. Oh, I guess a couple other things for those who are in the room just have joined us. You guys, if you have not and you're interested in the commercial space, via my website, CorreyHammond.com. And there's 2 Correy Hammonds online. My name is spelled with 2 R's. So it's there right here in my screen, CorreyHammond.com. I have a free commercial cleaning business audit that I want to be able to share with you to completely fill out, completely free. It's going to give you a snapshot of where you may be at on the commercial space. And I have some free goodies in there as well. So please feel free to take that audit, give yourself a snapshot, and then take advantage of all the free goodies that I have in there that have been my cheat code to some of my success. And I just want to be able to make sure I am giving some game and some support to the cleaning industry and the cleaning community. So please take that and then follow up with your boy if you have any additional questions. But if nothing else, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and let us go. We only have a few more minutes to spare unless anyone else wants to slide another question in there. But for the folks who joined me for today, I really appreciate it. You guys just trying to do a little something different and kind of grow this community on the YouTube side and just, again, let more people be exposed to the cleaning industry. And as I told you guys, even us having this first topic with Google, it makes sense because Google is the biggest search engine in the globe. YouTube is the second biggest because they are in partnership with each other. So it just makes sense to grow the community and to get more people exposed here on the YouTube side. So I will let everybody go for today. Y'all be blessed. Holler at me in my back channels if you have any follow-up questions, and I'll be happy to share so that we can level up together, y'all. All right. All right, y'all be blessed, and I will see you guys for the next Lunch and Learn, which will be next Tuesday, Tuesdays and Thursdays, unless I have a standing appointment, but Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, y'all. Till next time, peace and blessings. We out of here.